Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. One franchise completely dead this episode. A fun week of ball. Ranger Suarez, Elly de la Cruz, J-Ram, Mason Miller, someone from your team. Let's talk ball.
Sweeper.
Out ahead of it. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Code Talkin10. Make sure you use that before April ends, which is coming soon, Trev. We're an actual month into the season. I've been waiting for this. We got an early start this year. By the time we talk to you on Monday, April's almost over. Get ready for the Justin Timberlake. It's going to be May memes. And speaking of Justin Timberlake, one of his good friends, Trevor Plouffe.
Oh, yeah. That's me. Okay. I don't know if you hit that sweeper. I don't think you did because my spin efficiency was 100% and my access was there. Plus the seam shifted weight got you.
Right. I did everything mechanically to throw the right pitch, but the hitter accidentally had an exit velo of 81 that dropped in over the second baseman. So even though it's a double, I threw the right pitch.
I had a pretty old school baseball talk with an old school baseball player. Kind of felt good to just talk about hitting like a hitter a little bit.
Name remains anonymous.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So it's just interesting because you can't be old man yells at clouds. I'm going to broadcast and present the game tonight to Twins fans, and I like to be up on, what the new stuff is. What are the guys doing? How are we preparing for games? But if you don't agree with it, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I have that question a lot. Do I talk about the game how I want to talk about the game, or do I have to kind of, bite my tongue a little bit and just present it how it is, Jake? I don't know what to do.
Follow your heart. That's all I can tell everyone listening to this.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. I needed to hear that.
People just assume it was a dumb Jakeyism, but you did link up with Justin Timberlake the other day. I think that should be noted.
Yeah. I don't think he likes me that much. I think he maybe was a little intimidated by me. That's the thing.
Musicians hate jocks. Jocks want to be musicians.
Musicians are well, he saw me. I think he just felt threatened a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. I didn't feel that way when I saw him. I felt I wanted to just shake his hand and say thank you for hours of entertainment and dancing that you've allowed me to do. I've danced to Justin Timberlake songs for quite some time.
I think everyone here's danced to Justin Timberlake songs.
Thank you, sir.
Hopefully we'll stop talking about him. We had some good baseball this week. Some of the big, I feel like there was a lot of 4-gamers this week that led to 4-game splits, including my Yankees, Phillies, Reds, Milwaukee Brewers pull one out of their butt late. Let's dive into it.
Yes.
And on Fridays, we start with the National Leagues, and I want to start with Ranger Suarez. What's he, 25 innings clean? He is dealing this year. He holds my Cincinnati Reds scoreless through 7. They win that first game 7-0. They win the last game 5-0 because Zach Wheeler, it's wheels up. He does the same goddamn deal. 0 earned runs. The games the Reds didn't get shut out, they won. They won the 2 middle games. That's how you end up splitting 4. Encarnacion Strand, Elly de la Cruz. You're going to hear even more about him later. And how about Bryce Harper? Every time he has a kid, comes back in homers. Have more kids, Bryce. Simple. Analytics. I mentioned the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates teed it up for 4. And the Pirates came in on an L6, I think. And they end up winning the first 2 games. Our guy Jared Jones, disgusting. Gets an easy hunch out of that body, and he's hot. We've talked about that. The Pirates, they win the second game 2-1. Bailey Falter, okay. Over from the Phils, he drops 7 innings, 1 earned, and McCutchen goes yard piece on him. But then the Brewers catchers, William Contreras, who's early MVP juice, I think that should be discussed. And then Gary Sanchez gets his old battery mate, Aroldis Chapman, for the pinch hit.
Nice swing.
Home run, goes opposite field with it. That flips the final game 7-5 as the Brew Crew split it up on them. Good series from Kutch and O'Neill Cruz. Rockies, Padres. They end up splitting 4, which goes every other Padres, Rockies. Ends on an absolutely crazy Coors Field 10-9 game, back and forth. Bretton Doyle, Jack Doyle's cousin, big day at the office. Always love when Matt Waldron puts up a big knuckleboy start. And yeah, we were wondering, hey, is knuckleballs at Coors Field a theory? We don't know yet because our Rockies haven't tried anything. But it worked for Matt Waldron for a day. And here's another theory. Go get Dylan Cease because he went 7 innings, 1 earned run. Hey, go Rocks, go. They get the split. Zeke Tovar with a couple hits. Why not us? Padres blew a 5-run lead in that last game. That hurts. I think you can mark down Coors Field on that one. Giants take 2 out of 3 from the Mets. Mets winding down their West Coast trip. They do get enough from Sean Manaea on that final game. And Frankie Lindor, he's been really going. But the story of the first 2, Keaton Winn lives up to his name. 6 innings, 1 earned run. Logan Webb, 8 innings shutout. My God, he's got a little Cy Young campaign forming. Giants, Jimmy's new favorite team. We found that out on the midweek. They get 2 out of 3 at home. The Cardinals, kind of an early must-win season for them if they're going to turn around the ship this year. They win the bread games and take 2 out of 3 against my Snakes. Nolan Gorman, walk-off, pinch hit, home run. They win the final game. Montgomery and Gibson. Gibby drops it on him. We love that for him always. Snakes, I feel like they've been doing this. The game they win, it's 14-1. They dominated it. They blew them out. It's got to feel kind of weird when you do that, but you're losing series. Snakes still looking to get their footing going, although Jordan Montgomery, another good start by him. Braves sweep the Fish, and that's obvious, unfortunately. Of note, Bryce Elder, good to see him back in the mix. 6.2 shutty. Max Fried, 9 innings shutout. We love that for Maximus. And then Reynaldo Lopez, 7 innings, 1 earned. Marlins had a nice little rally in that final game, but Michael Harris gets the walk-off RBI double. Dodgers, they sweep those pesky Nats. A couple close one in the bread games. Dude, Shohei is full nut job again. I don't know if everyone knows, but I think for the past 3 weeks, he's got the highest OPS. He is a monster. And the other series we're going to talk about a lot, Astros get swept by the Cubbies. Yo, our guy PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, first hit, first homer, makes it count in that last game. But my, oh my, it's getting ugly in Houston. And that is what happened in your National League. Trevor Goop.
Just a great job right there. Pop.
It's a lot of games. There's no IL this week, so outran the music a little, but I didn't outrun Trevor Plouffe's standings.
The standings. We did the National League, right? Just kidding.
Yeah.
I knew that. In the NL East, with that sweep, the Braves remain atop at 17-6. The Phillies, after splitting the 4-gamer with the Reds, are 16-10. The Mets, who've been playing a lot better ball as of late, we'll talk about that a little bit later, are 13-11, 2 games over 500. The Nats at 10-14, and the Marlins at the bottom of the NL East at 6-20. In the Central, dogfight here in the Central. Milwaukee, 16-8 atop the division, right behind them, a half game back. The Chicago Cubs are at 16-9. Cincinnati at 14-11. Pittsburgh right at 500 at 13-13. And St. Louis hanging in there. The boys, the birds on the bat, if you will, 11-14 at the bottom of the Central. In the West, the Dodgers remain atop the division, 16-11 after the sweep of the Nationals. Padres at 500, 14-14. Jake Snakes, 12-14. Jimmy's Giants, I guess that's what we're calling them now. 12-14 as well. And then Colorado bringing up the rear at 7-19. And that's the standings in the National League.
Trevor, beautiful
These
stuff.
Giants.
Beautiful stuff. Let's reverse engineer this a little bit, and it does bleed into the AL, but it's all ball these days. The Chicago Cubs, the highs of highs. The Cubbies are out of the gates. With this sweep, it's a full-blown good start. Like I talked about, we're a month in processing this. The Cubbies are 16-9. The Brewers, that have felt like they've had an incredible start, they are a half game back of them. Fangraphs has the Cubs as the favorites to win the division at 40%. And they're doing it all around. The offense has actually gone more. Like the pitching numbers are still middle-ish of the pack. The offense is starting to get some top 10 offensive numbers going. And a lot of that the past week, Nico Horner and Mike Tauchman. So if those guys are getting it done, that allows a lot more flexibility with some of the other big boys in the lineup. And then on the other side, Trev, the Houston Astros. I told you I was hitting the panic button. Felt like I was the first to do it. Oh, you love the Yankees. You probably want to see Houston die. Dude, the numbers are now overwhelming. Like, no team has gone off to this bad of a start and made the playoffs. I think there's only been 4 teams that have gone off to this kind of start and gotten to 500. So we are in a new era of expanded playoffs and things like this. But I don't know. I think when I opened it up to Houston last episode, a lot of the Houston replies were like, no, dude, we are panicking. So I don't know if you want to start Cubs love or Houston fear.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think we're going to talk about Cubs a little bit later. You know, this is it's been a great start for them. Obviously, losing Belly to the fractured rib hurts. PCA coming up, though, and kind of making it sting a little bit less as he hits the go-ahead 2-run homer. He didn't really know what to do when he hit it because he did crush it, but the wind was blowing in. He knew he got it. It was one of those things like, I think I should do something cool here, and he tried. PCA, we'll work on it, bro.
Yeah.
We'll work on it. It'll smooth out over time. That
is a perfect first home run. Oh, a little PCA shirt on the screen. Dude, that is a perfect. It's his first hit. It's in a big spot.
He didn't know what to do.
And he doesn't treat it like the cool guy home run. And that's what a first home run should be.
He kind of treated it like the cool guy home run, Jake. He tried to.
Nah.
I'm just saying, it'll get smoother in time.
Well, he's
a smooth guy.
Dude, he clicked it. I mean, I think for what PCA is working with body-wise, reminder, one of my friends at the Cole Tucker, Vanessa Hudgens wedding this offseason, for his body type, I think that's everything PCA's got in there as of now because he's 21 years old.
Is he 21? All I'm saying is PCA is going to be one of the guys that you're going to look at when he hits home runs. And you're like, oh, okay, oof. He hasn't got there yet, but I am very stoked for him.
22, turned 22 in March.
You know I sent him a DM, Jake.
I texted him this morning, so that's kind of a leg up.
Okay, you got PCA then.
Yeah.
You got
that's
PCA.
dibs.
I'm happy for the Cubs. 3-game sweep, Houston, it's like, are they going to wake up at any time? And no, they kept sleeping there in Chicago. Like I mentioned, only a half game back of the Brewers. This team looks really good. They battle, like I said, some injuries, but as you mentioned, over the last week or so, some guys have stepped up and they've been able to keep the gas pedal down a little bit. As for the Astros, there are some numbers, Jakey. I believe it's only 2 teams ever have gotten over 500 with the start that they've gotten out to after. No teams have made the postseason, like you said. And what's really shocking to me is even the guys that you just feel like never struggle are struggling. I have the Yordan Alvarez stats since April 11th. We're talking 2 weeks here, 13 games. 184, 293, 245 slug. He said 1 extra base hit in his last 13 games. The team is 3-10 in those games. Everything is kind of going wrong for the Astros. For a while there, their offense was still like, okay, like they're doing it offensively. We're going to get some starting pitching going. And that has turned as well. The offense hasn't been there. The pitching hasn't been there. The bullpen blows another one to get swept here. I believe it was Abreu against PCA here. So it's like all these things are happening. You're dealing with all these injuries. You're dealing with underperformance now. When is it ever going to turn out? It still seems to me like I'd be crazy to count this team out, even though those numbers say what they say about the Astros. I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet. Maybe I'm too emotionally scarred from not scarred, but like it's ingrained into me that this Astros team is just going to be there. How many ALCSs in a row? Is it 7? Like I can't give up on these guys yet. You might be ready to declare them dead. I can't. 6.5 games back. It's still too early for me to do it, Pop.
Hey, I'm not declaring them dead. They're not the team that's being declared dead this episode.
You kind of like have declared them dead.
The numbers have declared them dead.
And you're a numbers guy.
I am.
You are.
I am a numbers guy. I think one of the biggest things that they have going is the expanded postseason. I think when you look back at all those numbers, we've only had that for 2.5 seasons if you count the COVID year. No one has run away with the division, which that could also be a benefit, although I do want to talk a little Mariners later. But I guess here's my thing, and it's why I will say a full-blown panic button, yellow flag, as close to red flag as you can get. They have a weird one this weekend. They have today off, Friday off day.
They're going to Mexico City.
They're playing 2 against Colorado, which, okay, 2 games in Colorado and Mexico City, that's actually
Both
kind of a nightmare.
Both teams are 7-19. What are we doing? Who are we sending down to Mexico to represent this beautiful sport?
The Sunday game, I have a bit of good news, but also a bit of weird news because the ball flies out of Mexico City. Framber Valdez is coming back, so chalk that up as good news for Houston. Justin Verlander is back. Framber Valdez is coming back. So and again, I did this last episode, and I said, hey, let's say they get hot now, and they win a couple games against the Cubs. They got swept. They went the opposite direction. Whatever happens in Colorado, kind of don't care. Or it's not even Colorado, it's the Colorado of the South. Trev, playoff baseball starts for Houston. They have a homestand, Cleveland and Seattle. Not only does this team, who Seattle is currently leading their division, Cleveland is leading their division and looks like the best team of April. Normally that would be hey, let's go 3-3 is a win. 3-3 is not a win for Houston anymore. They need to start reeling off wins. And again, if there is a team in baseball that we would have said before the season, I don't care if they start off slow, it's probably them and the Dodgers. Dude, next week is a must-have week for Houston. And there's nothing they've shown that tells you that they should not only dominate Cleveland and Seattle, but even survive those series.
I'm looking at the stat page right now. Altuve is going off. He's 996ing it right now. Kyle Tucker is right at 900. I know Yordan Alvarez has struggled, like I mentioned, over the last 2 weeks. Before that, he was one dotting it. The offense has kind of been going. Enough guys have been doing it. Jeremy Pena's look kind of like his old self again. But it just has not come at all. They have not, when the offense has showed up, the pitching has been bad. When they have a lead, the bullpen has blown stuff. It has been a plethora of different ways to lose games. When you see something like that, it's hard, I guess. It's hard for me to count them out because there is so much season left. But if you've watched the games and you've watched them play, it doesn't seem like they're going to turn it around. So I'm kind of in a catch-22 here. It's I have so much belief in them from past years, but if you watch them play this year, it's completely different. I'm going to pickle a little bit with this.
There's a little bit of blood in the water. Cleveland, who again, probably going to be the team with the most wins in April. Seattle, who's been a division rival and has seen all of this. Then Houston goes on the road to BBD's New York Yankees. And then the Tigers after that, where Hinch is at. So, I don't know, man. A stake could be firmly driven through the Astros in the next 2 weeks if they don't get hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. And good for the Cubbies, and I think pivoting that just a little bit, Neris gets the save against his old team.
That was awesome.
I love Neris.
He was fired up.
That's a lot of fired up man. That's kind of why I like Joe's McFly. I mentioned the Brewers, who have been the kind of one of the stories of the National League so far this year. They end up with the miracle split. I mentioned the Gary Sanchez home run, I think 102 off the dish, and Gary just goes with it. Again, Gary's natural talent. I know some people might got sick of Yankees fans when Gary Sanchez was in his peak, but it also like helped build this company. Gary's pure talent is on stupid levels, and he showed a little bit of that Yankee fans are rooting for Gary. They blame the franchise for his development more than him. I guess Cubs, they end up splitting these. Pirates end their skid and would have really liked to get 3 out of 4. A little Cubs Brewers, as they are the early kind of leaders in this division. I think Fangraphs has them as those two teams combined basically have a 60% chance to win the division. Do you have a lean between those two teams?
You could point to inefficiencies for both teams. You can talk about the guys that have stepped up for both teams. I think they really are neck and neck. Cubs are a half game back in the standings. If I had to lean one way,
point to inefficiencies. Are you a front office guy now?
I think I'm leaning Cubs here because I think they're going to be more aggressive with deadline acquisitions, stuff like that. I feel, and I'm not saying that the Brewers aren't trying to win this year because I kind of never know what the fuck the Brewers are up to. I know that when I count them out, that's when they're at their best. That's why I locked them as my over when the over-under was 79 wins or something ridiculous like that. I knew this fast start was coming. I don't know if anybody else did, but here's the thing. If like Contreras keeps doing what he's doing, you just mentioned he's like on an MVP pace. Yelly comes back. Hoskins is doing his thing in the middle of the lineup. Then you get a little bit of Gary Sanchez plugged in there as well. Some of the young kids, like there's some dynamic baseball to be played in Milwaukee. I'm really just excited for the NL Central in general because I do believe the Pirates might fall back. I want to talk about them in a little bit, but I truly believe that the Cubs, the Brewers, the Reds, and the Cardinals. I mean, like really, it is a 5-team race in my opinion. Like you can't talk about Cubs and Brewers without mentioning the other teams too. I really feel like they're all kind of there together.
Yeah, Reds are 14-11. Like they just split 4 with the Phillies, which two of the most fun teams to watch in that. Pirates are fine. They're at 500, which again, that's if you can do 4 500 months and 2 winning months, that'll get you in the playoffs.
And they got guys coming. Like you find out that Jared Jones is a guy. Okay?
Yeah,
you found that out. He's a top of the rotation guy in the big leagues. Awesome. You already have Keller there doing his thing. Skeens is going to be up at any moment. I watched Charrington talk about him, and I don't know how he sat there with a straight face and was talking about, hey, we want him to work on stuff for the minor leagues, so he's a good big league pitcher. We don't want him to be a good minor league pitcher. What are you talking about, dude? Get the guy to the big leagues. Like he's striking out 2 people per inning down there. He's ready. Okay. You add that to the equation. Have you seen what Joey Bart has done?
How about that?
Talk about change of scenery.
Yeah.
Right now, this guy has 304, 429, 739 slug for the 1.1ing. That is, I love to see that. He got ran out of San Francisco. Obviously, never really did anything there to get the playing time, and you have Patrick Bailey coming in, but change of scenery for him. He's 27 years old. He's going right now. I love that for them. I don't know, man. I think anyone could win that division. I think that you can point to all sorts of things on both sides for each and every single one of these clubs. Like there's no dominant team. There's no team that's really out of it. Like right now, it looks like the Cardinals are the worst of it. But for some reason, I still believe in them. I did see Gibby freaking blow 2 fastballs by guys
Oh,
in a second and third no out situation. Just struck guys out with his heater. I was like, what do you don't do that, Gibby.
that's
Like,
Gibby,
I don't know.
bro.
The whole division is going to be a dogfight the entire year.
Yeah, my only sell is I'm selling Cardinals a little bit. I know it's too early to have again 11-14. Like again, that's fine, and with a big weekend or a big series that turns instantly. But I don't know. I mean, last year the Cardinal season was bad, and they haven't done too much to change my mind.
This is a big series for them against your Snakes, okay? Like you get
Yeah.
Goldschmidt hits the homer in the first game to tie the game up. He's needed that swing big time. Gorman needed that swing. He comes through, lefty, homer. Great, walk off. Then you get punched in the mouth the next day, 14-1. You just get absolutely shellacked. How do you respond to that? Well, Gibby comes out against, Jordan Montgomery, who has had a really fine start to the year. They go out and sneak a freaking 5-1 win the series. Like, I think that's a momentum gaining type series for them. Like they needed something like that. And to answer after getting hit 14-1 and to win the series the next day, I think that shows a little bit of tenacity, a little bit of grit, which I don't know if we saw that at all from the Cardinals last year. And we're getting it in the early goings here. So I'm not ready to give up. Sonny Gray's looked great. They've made some adjustments. Jordan Walker out. They're going to play Lars and do all that.
I do have an important update on the Cardinals. I ran into Arenado on the streets of New York last night.
Oh.
Off day in the city. We didn't speak, but it was for sure
Head
him.
nod.
How did he look?
Made eye
Because everyone-
contact.
Okay.
He knew I knew who he was and was being cool about it.
Nice.
You don't think he was like, oh, that's Bieber's?
It's a chance. He's in the game.
I mean, there's a chance. I would never think that about me.
He, I believe, I have the leaderboard up right now. 7th in the league and outs above average. So he's like the defense is back for
doing
him.
it.
That's a
Good.
good sign for the Cardinals. I don't know, man. I can't give up on him.
Yeah, I'm not giving up, but they got to show me something very different. They've got a road trip coming up. Mets. Arenado's staying with BBD.
It was really close to my apartment, actually.
Okay.
Okay. What's he doing there? Just walking the streets by himself?
I think he was heading to dinner.
By himself?
I mean, he was with somebody that I assume was a Cardinals teammate, but it wasn't a face I
Okay.
recognized.
Damn.
If I'm just being honest.
Road trip. Mets and Tigers, who have played decent baseball, like on the road. Those teams have shown me more up until this point. I hope I'm wrong. Love St. Louis as a baseball city, but show me some juice because, like you said, the Pirates above them. They've got a bad man on the way at some point. Like, he just threw 4.1. I think they want to get him built up for at least 5. That whole team knows he's coming. I've had a little bit of Pirates juice. I've loved the Reds from the start. The Cubs are going, and they've got a bunch of top 100 prospects, and they're investing in their team, and the Brewers just win. So it's less of a Cardinals dislike, and it's more like, if this all is happening in the division, that's horrible news for the Birds.
Well, I think they're going to have to be aggressive as well at the deadline. Their chips are kind of all in on the table. They bring the pitchers in this year. Jimmy, I guess you guys are convinced that Goldschmidt is going to go to the Yankees next year. So there's a lot of things they got to get done this year.
Who said that?
Team's going to look a lot different next year is all I'm saying. I think we need to give a little bit of love to the Giants.
Sure.
Before we move on, taking the series from the Mets. Obviously, some really good starts in here. You mentioned Logan Webb, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, Keaton Winn getting the job done. I love watching them play and their infield defense right now, leading in outs above average. Nick Ahmed.
How about that?
You put those two guys together on the left side of the infield. I know we like dreamed about it and talked about it, but like actually watching it come to fruition is kind of a beautiful sight to see. Nick Ahmed's a guy that you hit the ball to him and you're like, great.
Yeah.
If you're a pitcher, like, yes. Like he makes all the freaking plays. I guess I didn't appreciate him enough.
Okay.
Early on, but now that he's with my guy Chappie and I'm paying attention to it, it's a really nice shortstop he's playing. And chalk it up for a white shortstop. I'm just saying that doesn't happen that often, people. Okay, that's okay. It's okay to say that.
I mean, how
we're not represented there very much. Okay,
how old is Nick Ahmed at this point? Like the fact that he's 34 and picking it. And by the way, Trev, we can unite on this. A UConn man.
Oh,
yeah.
Steady, just like all the UConn men I know.
Make the plays. Yeah, NL West, the Dodgers have kind of taken their Dodger position. I'm wondering if if we have to wonder about that the rest of the way, 16 and 11. Although they've got a tough little roadie coming up. And then the Padres, D-backs, and Giants are all in the mix, and I think that's just all year long. I can't tell those teams apart at this point. I think the only other thing I really wanted to shout out was the Phillies. They split with the Reds. I remember before the season, I was on I want the Phils to get out to a hot start and actually compete with the Braves this year. Hey, Braves are 17-6. They are looking like the Braves. Fangraphs has them 90% to win the division. But the Phillies are out of the gate. They're 16-10. That again, last year they were chasing 500 forever. Alec Boehm is going nuts.
Yep.
I had some Philly people coming at me and Jolly because I think on Wake and Jake we said like, are they a sneaky Matt Chapman team? Boehm says no. I'll hit cleanup and be one of the best players in baseball. And with the starting pitching they're getting, I don't know. I've wanted the Phillies to give the Braves a run during the regular season. Meanwhile, the Phillies split 4 with the Reds, and the Braves got another sweep. So maybe it's just me being dumb.
Kidding. Curious to see what they do with that rotation because I believe Taiwan's coming back and Spencer Turnbull's been really good. Like, does he go back to like a longman reliever role, or do they go 6-man? They got a lot of pitching depth there, which is really nice of them because Christopher Sanchez looked good. Spencer Turnbull's like incredible. And then you get Taiwan on the way back as well. I like that. Lastly, before we move on, saddest inning of baseball I've ever watched was San Diego in the 8th inning, giving it up to Colorado. Wandy Peralta, I felt so bad for him. It just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
We get like a whiff by Campusano, like tying run scores on that. Not a lot of hard hits, then some hard hits. It was just like a slow bleed, dying very slowly on the TV screen. It was tough to watch. It really, really was. I actually hit up Ryan Cohen on Twitter and I said, I'm sorry. That was the saddest inning of baseball I've ever seen.
But
go Rockies, go.
That's a bad inning is a bad inning. Analytics. But how about a happy flight to Mexico, baby? Let's go, Rocks.
After the game, Kelsey was on the lookout for Gatorade coolers because, she had to get on a flight to go to Mexico as well. So her head was on a swivel.
Oh, wow.
Very professional, Kels.
You'll hear from Kelsey Winger later in this program. You know that. Trev, let's get to the other half of ball this week, and it's brought to you by Nutrafol. Where do you get your ball? Nutrafol. 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime. It's normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate. Get ahead of it with Nutrafol, clinically tested hair growth supplement for men. Also loved by women, makes for a great Mother's Day gift. I think you'd want to discuss that first. Maybe have that on the radar. It's the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand with over 1 million people seeing thicker, stronger, faster growing hair and less shipping. Fellas, I think the #1 thing I've heard on this topic, and I've looked into this topic, a couple scary warehouse camera shots for myself.
Oof.
Get ahead of it. Because once you get behind, it gets incrementally harder.
It's a good word.
Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and hairstylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. Nutrafol.com/men. Promo code TALKBASE. TALKBASE will get you the hookup with 10% off your first month subscription plus free shipping when you use code TALKBASE. So click the link in the description. Go check it out. Little Beastie Boys?
Did you mean exponentially?
I never really know.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 different words.
Okay. How blue are you? The Kansas City Royals versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Fun jersey matchup, Trev?
I don't like it.
Too much blue, okay. Well,
No.
the Blue Jays, they come out, they win the first game. I say Kikuchi, you say Kikuchi. He has been shoving. And how about short king Dalton Varsho? I think 6 homers in 10 games. Boogity, boogity, boogity. But then things fall apart. The Royals get the next 3. All 1-run games. 3-2, 3-2, 2-1 after 5 innings. The rain delay final game. Those always feel so gross to me. Bobby Witt Jr., you know what he's doing? I think he's got the 2nd most extra base hits. I don't know if people knew he was doing that around baseball. Kyle Isbell with a big game with the bat and made a huge play in the field. And Big Sally Perez, Trev, he's still going. He's still going.
Big time.
The Royals get 3 out of 4. Kind of brutal break in that last game for Toronto. That's a nightmare. A's and Yankees, they split 4 games. The A's get the bread games. First one's an afternoon, 1 p.m. Passover game. Your guy, Zach Geloff, Vanderbilt, go Doors. He gets the only run-scoring home run in that game. Yankees put it together in the middle games, a big inning in game 2. Juan Soto with his fingerprints. And Anthony Rizzo showing some pop for the first time this year. But the Yanks, they lose that final game. Oakland, playing a decent brand of baseball, man. Their bullpen, watch out on the back end in Oakland. Speaking of watch out, it's Minnesota Twins season, and maybe it's more so just not White Sox season. The Twins, they handle their business. They take all 4 games against the Chicago White Sox. Trevor Plouffe's going to break it all down for you. Eddie Julien, is he hot? Is he not? 2 homers, that'll always make you hot. That'll always make you hot. Twins get it done. They needed this in a bad way. White Sox, it's historically bad. We will discuss. Detroit Tigers, they take 2 out of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays. Hey now, Tarek Skubal, maybe your AL favorite to win the Cy Young. That's not me talking. That's Vegas with the money, people. Mark Canha with a couple big days at the office. Kenta Maeda 5-shot piece. Why not? Rays, they raise in that final game. Ben Rortvedt has been hitting a little bit for them. Isaac Paredes and Jason Adams with 2 big innings out of the pen to salvage the series. Baltimore Orioles, they take 2 out of 3 from the Los Angeles Angels. Albert Suarez, who are you? And why do you keep just shutting teams down? Don't like that. That's the Yankee fan showing. Gunnar Henderson only has big days at work. Angels, Neto, Adele, Rengifo, and Trout all put it together. But on that final game, Baltimore went up 6-0, almost blow it, but they do enough to hold on. The Boston Red Sox, they take on the Cleveland Guard Dogs, and the Guardians just keep winning games. Man, Ben Lively outpitches Houck in that first one. Jose Ramirez with the home run, just like he has in the last game. Some great base running, too. A grand slam to win that final game 6-4. In the middle one, Sox went nuts. Cooper Criswell 5-shot. Your guy, Wilyer Abreu, endeavors. Connor Wong 2 homers, sure. But Cleveland wins the series. That's all they've been doing. They slow down the Boston Red Sox, as I've been calling them. In your final series, the Seattle Mariners. Logan Gilbert shuts down the Texas Rangers. Okay, Low Gil. Cal Raleigh and Julio. Yeah, that's the formula. They both hit home runs on offense. And then in that final game, Luis Castillo with 6, 2 earned run. And Luis Urias gets on top of one from the Heen Dog. Big home run to give them a series win after Tejas. The kids had big days in that middle game. Mariners on top of the AL West. And that's what happened in the American League. Trev, stand me.
You're the best.
Stand me.
Is Cal Raleigh the best catcher in baseball? We'll talk about that.
Conversation.
He's in the conversation. All right. The AL stand will start in the East. That's what we do, people. Baltimore, those baby birds. Are they babies anymore? I guess they kind of are, to be honest with you. Yes. That's terrifying for you, Jake. They are at 16-8. Yankees right now at 17-9. We're giving the nod to Baltimore there in the standings. Both lead the AL East. Boston right behind them, 14-12. Tampa Bay Rays and Toronto Blue Jays both at 13-13. So no team in the AL East is under 500.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that a lot. In the Central, we cannot say that. We cannot say that about the AL Central, but we do have the greatest team in the American League. The Cleveland Guard Dogs are leading things off 18-7. How are you guys doing that? We'll break it down. Kansas City Royals 16-10. Detroit Tigers 14-11. My Twins 4 in a row to get back to 11-13. It's go time, hottest team in baseball. And then say a prayer if you know a White Sox fan. They are 3-22. Holy shit. 15 games back. People, it's April 26th. And in the West, the Seattle Mariners at 13-12. The Texas Rangers 13-13. The Los Angeles Angels 10-15. The Oakland Athletics 10-16. And the Houston Astros sitting all the way at the bottom at 7-19. And those are the standings in the American League.
Trev, impeccable. Unbridled and unmatched.
You mentioned the blue jerseys. Let's start there. Blue jerseys, Kansas City, Toronto. I do want to go back in time to the National League and say I did not like the Phillies Reds color matchup either. It's just too much red, too much blue.
Red, too much blue. I get it. It's not wrong.
Yeah. I'd rather have the blues than the reds, but the reds, no, I don't know. I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in this series, like I mentioned, Toronto wins that first game. Bichette with a big 3-run triple. Blue Jays, they win 7 of 9. Varsho looks like he's fully clicking. Romano back collecting saves. But then the Royals, man, Vladdy had the big error. The ball, he just kind of doesn't catch that ball, and that leads to
Bobby Witt makes him pay.
That leads to 3 runs in that inning, which is the difference in that entire game. Royals went high Sox in that game to break up their 3-game losing streak, and then it leads to a 3-game win streak. So I'll let you cook on this, Trev.
Yeah, I think the Royals took advantage of some mistakes. You have guys kind of producing up and down the lineup. Kyle Isbell in that rain shortened game had a great catch out there in the rain in center field. He looks like a nice little ball player for the Royals as well. But it's been Bobby Witt. It's been Sal. I think Sal Perez right now, and I don't have his page up, but I was looking. He's got 25 stakes already. He's only played in 20 something games. He is continuing to go off. And the more and more you bring up his dang Hall of Fame case, the more I'm like, maybe it's going to happen. I don't know. Something about him still going gets me fired up, I guess, because I played against him and it makes me feel young still a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's the heart and soul of this team. I know Bobby Witt is probably the face of the team now, but this team isn't going anywhere without Sal Perez.
Trev,
really, really impressive to see what he's been doing.
You mentioned Cal Raleigh, who's out of the gates pretty hot. Good start, best catcher in baseball. Although John Schneider would disagree with you. Dude, Big Salvi Perez, 194 OPS plus. Like, he's out playing Cal Raleigh right now. A lot of the catchers around baseball are balling out early this season,
yes.
Especially the big man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see. There are a ton of really good offensive catchers now in the game. I wonder what's going on with that. That hasn't been that way in years past. But we got like Contreras brothers both going off. Ryan Jeffers, hey, put some respect on his name. Cal Raleigh, Jonah Heim. We can keep going. Joey Bart, like I mentioned, like insane. Shout out catchers.
You want my analytical expert opinion?
Sure.
I think a lot of the teams around baseball were like, hey, I don't know, but catcher's tough. So if we have to go defense there, like that is what it is. It's catching, And then I think all the offensive stats said, hey, if you have a good hitter in your lineup instead of a bad hitter, helps your offense. And I think that was the change.
I think teams try to choose, and the teams that don't have to choose between a guy that can handle a staff and a guy that can hit, like the guys that have, Adley Rutschmans, all these guys we just mentioned. If you can do both, what a freaking advantage that you have over other teams. But still, I think teams still would prefer a defensive-minded, like handle the pitching staff type catcher, and maybe you throw a flyer backup guy that can maybe pinch hit every once in a while or something like that, or vice versa. I think teams still have to decide kind of where they want to go with their catcher position. It's a strange type of position.
Well, again, I think it's how much things change. How much have we talked about the William Contreras trade in the past couple days, also known as the Sean Murphy trade? And I think we've been scoffing at it, but in hindsight, I don't think they thought he was going to stick at catcher. But the Brewers have had a lot of good success with their defensive catching coaching, that now they have William Contreras and Gary Sanchez, who is once a generational hitting catcher. And they're tapping into that. So, and I think the other thing is there was a while where if you were a catcher that could hit, the conversation was almost like, hey, where can we put them so their career lasts longer? Because catching is obviously a brutal position. And I think teams might have been like, why... in a kind of a rude way, I guess, a little bit, but like, why do we care? If we can just have a good catcher, why do we care about moving him to first base or a corner outfield spot?
Shout out to the Royals bullpen.
Ironically, Dalton Varsho is going nuts right now after he got kicked out.
He's also like, the best.
Yeah, also
defensive outfielder
covers
in the game.
Ground like generationally.
I don't understand that.
He was doing catcher center field stuff for years.
Yeah, he is crazy. In that third game, the bullpen has really stepped it up. You got Alec Marsh, 4 relievers. They pitched a six hitter. Scriber, Stratton, MacArthur for them going off. And this is a nice stat that we have on our sheet. After allowing 14 runs in 15 2/3 innings pitched to begin the season, Royals relievers have allowed 16 runs in the next 66 innings pitched. That's how you stack wins, people.
And again, little snaps for the Royals as they are 16-10, which is a very impressive record, like keeping up with the guards more or less, who have had an incredible month. John Schreiber, that trade happened, and we all kind of were like, all right, Royals, like you're giving up an asset for a reliever that, Schreiber's pitched some good innings, but not one of the more feared relievers in baseball. He's come in and been awesome for them. One of their setup men, and it's all part of this Royals formula that's been working up into this point of the season.
I'm looking at their page right now. Sal has already amassed 1.5 WAR this season. What a freaking month this guy's had.
Yeah.
Holy snaky.
LJM.
Moving on. Do you want to give Yanks? Do I want to give Twins?
I'll do
90 seconds. Go.
I'll do nice. I was between 1 and 2 minutes, and that's about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Yanks are okay. They still have this feast or famine inning thing going on that instead of putting, where I love the Reds, the Orioles, it seems like every inning they're putting pressure on you. The Yankees, it's like, hey, we've got 2 innings where we could put up a 5 spot, but if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And that's what happened in the last game. They out-hit the A's a lot, but they could never get the 1 with runners on base. And their numbers with runners in scoring position and everything are in a fine spot. The other thing, having a formula matters in baseball, even if you're not a good team. the back of that A's bullpen, the babyface killer, Mason Miller, you should probably get familiar. Shout out Mac, R.I.P. He is legit and gross. In his past 11 innings, he's been untouchable. Urseg back there is really good. They've got a couple other like MLB guys. Austin Adams is floating around there. That whether it's come trade deadline and your team is shopping, or if you're just looking for a better product from the A's, last year, if they had a lead in the 7th, they still didn't believe. This year, if they have a lead in the 5th, they're like, ooh, we can win a ball game today. And that's a very different feeling. So that's kind of my A's Yanks chat. Nestor and Rodon looking pretty solid, which is huge for what the Yankees can be this year. Mets or Twins?
Desperately needed the White Sox in town. 4 games was really nice. Like it's not like a 3-game set. You get 4 games against them. And I guess it's like, hey, you handled your business. Like you had to get these games. Offense woke up a little bit. The lefties started going. Julian had a nice series. Trevor Larnach looks really nice as he's been recalled from AAA. Things look a little slower. He's a little more on time. Jeffers continued to hit. Buck had a decent game. The White Sox are they have Eloy Jimenez and Sheets are like their only offensive threats right now. And if you can get past those guys, you're going to win the game. Eloy had a big homer in one of the games where the Twins came back. It just seemed like inevitable, even in the late innings, that they were going to get got. I saw Crochet. He did not have a great outing against the Twins. He was over the plate. He was not spotting balls up whatsoever. I think even Kopech got hit around a little bit in this series. They don't have a lot to offer. Like they don't have a lot of ways to win right now. And obviously they're 3-22. Like I was expecting something different. I was expecting like, hey man, like just a rough start. They got to have some punch, and there's just no punch, man. It's pretty crazy. So it was a get right spot for the Twins. They took advantage of it, and we talked about they had this series. They play the Angels for 3. Then they go back to play Chicago in Chicago this time for another 3. So it's a really important stretch for them as they look to get back to 500, back in the swing of things. They're and I'm going to end with this. They're desperately missing Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis. Like they need those guys back. Like they got Kepler back, and it was instant offense. He had a really nice series driving in runs. Like you need those other guys back. They don't have the depth to sustain those losses for much longer, to be honest with you. So
yeah, White Sox, it could have been used in the title of this episode. I said at the start, a franchise is announced dead. It's the Chicago White Sox. And you've already known that, and it's a historically bad start. 3-22 with the Rays and Minnesota coming up. Their offense is last in everything. Batting average, on base, OPS, runs, and home runs. 30th. That goes against everything in my analytics binder. They do have, they've got a group of top 100 prospects, a chunk that might get the call this year. So hopefully you can get that at some point. But, you're hoping for a good 2-year plan at this point, and I don't know, man. This is as bad as it can get on a baseball field.
It didn't look good.
As much as I want to give your Twins some love, I'm going to need to see them do it against not the White Sox. But hey, maybe if they can handle all of those and get some of the guys you mentioned healthy, maybe the schedule gods worked out perfectly for Minnesota.
Yes.
Time will tell. Let's see what else we got here. Orioles kind of did Orioles things, if we're being honest. Same with Tigers, Rays a little bit. I guess Cleveland and Seattle, they are the 2 teams on top of their division right now. Cleveland handled the Red Sox. The Mariners handled Texas, which very early on in this baseball season, it was the game that currently decided who's on top of the AL West. Again, if you are a Fangraphs person, just something interesting of note, it has the Mariners as 42% to win the division, and it has the Rangers as 25%. So, I don't know. I think you'd assume those numbers would be reversed knowing what happened at the end of last year. But, Trev, I think as a talking point, in the Central and in the West, Mariners, Cleveland, two teams that kind of weren't expected to be division winners, two teams that Mariners have respected, obviously, that rotation, and there's a lot of talent on that team. And then Cleveland, which they have a reputation of being able to put a good ball club together. I guess which of those two teams do you believe in more in the American League?
I hate saying it because it kind of makes me seem like a AL Central like homer, but I think it's the Mariners, and there are some statistics I feel like that back that up. If they can just be an average offensive team, just an average offensive team with that pitching, they are going to win a lot of games. Here are some of the stats.
Okay.
They're 12-0 this year when leading after the sixth inning. Okay. Bullpen's been airtight. Nice. They're 11-3 when they score first. Hey, Julio, just go hit a homer.
Yeah.
They're 10-5 when they hit a homer. So let's get on the power train a little bit. They're 10-4 when scoring at least 4 runs. You should be scoring 4 runs a game. 10-4. They're leading the AL, and they haven't really gotten going offensively yet. If this team could just, I know that's been a problem for them in the last couple of years. Like, who are we offensively? What's our identity? What are we trying to do? If we can get these guys kind of going together, get a group of them firing at the same time, the Mariners could easily run off like a 8 to 10 game winning streak. They have that type of power on the pitching side, and all you got to do is just bang the ball around a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. They're going to win a lot of games scoring 3 runs because of what their pitching staff can do. But the numbers are overwhelming when they just are a competent offense. So I would say I believe more in the Seattle Mariners than I do the Guard Dogs, although I love watching the Guardians play right now, and I don't want to take anything away from them because I do feel like they have some guys, if they sustain where they're at offensively, like if Naylor can continue to go, and now you have Jose Ramirez, who his numbers will be there at the end of the year. If you have him and Naylor in the middle of your lineup, and then like Kwan setting the table, and some of these other guys continuing to produce, like they can beat you in a lot of different ways as well. But if I had to pick between the two, I'm going Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, it's a tough exercise because right now the AL Central has been better than the AL West. And the Mariners, we've kind of been waiting for it all to come together, and pitching-wise, it's full-blown. I mean, their rotation is 3rd in WHIP. Their bullpen is 2nd in WHIP. Offensively, it hasn't clicked, and I guess it starts to turn into a front office / what do I believe in, and I do believe in Cleveland's front office. I don't know if that surprises people because I haven't liked how they operate.
You hate them.
I don't like how believe in them. I don't like how they operate, but they've continually put a pretty good product out there. Seattle, how about this? Seattle, I'm going to want to be all in, but at some point they need to do an offensive player chips on the table type deal because right now there's just too many guys in the lineup that I don't know what I can hang my hat on offensively. Like,
sure.
You're a lot of MLB guys that have done a lot of different things, but they haven't given me a lot of full offensive seasons. And if you're the Mariners, that's clearly it. Like, look at your rotation. Look at your bullpen. You need more offense, and I want to believe they can go and do that. And at the same time, they're still around 500, which with a tough little Arizona, Atlanta, and then Houston season on the line series yet that, I don't know. Cleveland shown me they're going to have good juice this year. Mariners, there's room for it. Like, if the offense starts to go, holy smokes. But I need to see it. I need to see it.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for Guardians fans and just in general, but if you look at the starting pitching, first of all, Bieber's out for the year. Gavin Williams, who was like on his way back, had a setback at his rehab. So that's one of your, could be one of your best pitchers or two of your best pitchers just out for the year. You have Logan Allen's got a 5.06, Tanner Bibby's got a 4.4, Cookie's got a 4.6, Tristan's got a 4.9. Like, they haven't pitched well as starters. Ben Lively has been the best starter. My guy. fishing charter captain, Ben Lively, has got 2 games started. He's got a 2.38. But they continue to win games on that offense. So I guess it's like, here's the thing. Do you believe in Cleveland's offense or the Mariners pitching more? And for me, I think I believe in the Mariners pitching more.
I mean, if this was the court of the law and that was your final statement as a defense attorney, you just won.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I don't know if it's
that was off the top of my head.
I don't know if it's a fair argument, but that was like a power drop. That's pretty badass, dude. Did you go on a fishing charter with Ben Lively, or do you just know?
No, I want
that?
to. I think like him and his family, I think have 2 boats, or he's connected to them somehow. I'm We're IG guys, obviously. Had a lot of sodas with old Ben Lively on the back of the bus in old AAA.
God, that's a real treat. That's a real treat.
AAA Trev is a different animal, man.
It's a video. That's a movie. Modelo's
flowing. Teams threw parties for me when I was rehabbing. Trevapalooza was a real thing, guys.
I hate that so much. Let's go on to the second half of the show, Trev. And the second half of the show starts off with standout performances. Standout performances.
I'm going to take this one. Oh, yeah. You're going to read an ad.
Well, I'm just going to tell the people about our Warehouse Games channel again. Warehouse Games, go check it out, people. If you got a free night, maybe your team has an off day, the amount of content we have on there and the incredibleness of it. We just had our slap ball championship game. It's maybe the best finale you'll see of a sporting event this year. How about that? We have people that are skeptical of that world. I get it. You're like, wait, I'm going to watch these guys kind of play sports. The content, the production level is A++, and we have some big news coming with that soon. But go check out the Warehouse Games YouTube channel today. Trev, who's your standout?
Pop. I could have went a lot of different ways here. A lot of different ways. A lot of guys had some real nice series here, but I'm going to go with a guy who I think people, or maybe it's just me, I don't really give him fully credit for just how good he has been in his career, and that's Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets. Played against Frankie quite a bit. I believe I was at his debut in Cleveland. I believe I played in his debut game. Bieber's maybe fact check that for me. Definitely like one of his first games I was there. He might have opened on the road. I don't know. He went 4 for 5 with 2 homers and 4 runs driven in on Wednesday, April 24th. And this guy has been balling out as of late. Okay, we know the Mets started off really poor. I believe they were, 2-1, 2-3, 4, 5. They were 2-7 to start the year. Since April 7th through the 24th, which was the last game they played, Francisco Lindor has looked a lot more like Francisco Lindor. He got off to a slow start as well, just like the Mets. He's hitting 288, 347, 515 for an 862. That sounds like Frankie. He's been going off. That has coincided with the Mets also getting it going. They've gone 11-5 since Frankie started to get it going. So he's very, very important to this team. And that's, people are saying, oh, obviously he's very important to this team. Did you know how good he's been though? Like in his career? If I was to say, guess his career WAR right now. And I'm going to tell you he's played. This is his 10th year.
So Lindor's a page I've ended up a decent amount, whether Jolly Olive or just kind of interest. And I mean, 30-30 last year, right? And he plays a high-level shortstop. Give me 42.
Right on it, Pop. 43.1. He's had an MVP 9, an MVP 5, an MVP 16, an MVP 15, and then 2 MVP 9s back to back. He doesn't. I don't know what it's been. He got lost in the shuffle of, the Mets kind of being mid the last couple of years, the scuffle with McNeil, and kind of some weird stuff going on there with this Mets franchise. But there's a reason this guy got paid what he got paid, which his deal is a 10 years, 341 M's. Holy shnikey. There's a reason though. He's that guy. He really is. And if the Mets want to do anything this year and they want to get into playoffs, make some noise, Frankie's got to be a big part of it. And over the last 16 games, he has been, and the Mets have turned it around as well. So I wanted to give him a shout out on standout performance because I'm not going to say I wasn't familiar with how good he's been, but I needed a refresher in it. Definitely mad respect for the guy because he's a stud.
One of the best players in baseball. Again, it goes into a discussion about shortstop and how that position needs to be valued, but he plays a Gold Glove level shortstop.
Platinum glove. Don't forget that. 3-time Silver Slugger as well. Wow.
Both sides of the plate. He can steal. He's got pop. And yeah, I think there was a lot of, we talk about trades and that Lindor trade where, Cleveland made out well and they got some valuable pieces in that. That I don't know. It's one of those things. I think the fans, sometimes we go into fan mode where we talk about value and Jimenez is balling out and we don't have to pay him like Lindor. End of the day, part of me doesn't care. I get that there's team building and everyone has their limits and everything. No, it's really cool watching Francisco Lindor play and having him as your switch hitting Gold Glove caliber shortstop. I like that.
This guy, before the extension, before the contract that the Mets gave him, had already made almost like $70 million. He's going to end up just south of $400 million for his career. And I love the way he structured his contract, Jake. It's just straight up $34.1 million every single year. I don't want any funny business.
Yeah. We're
not going to backload it or front load it. No, 34.1 every single year.
So just have it hit the bank account.
God,
what's he going to get in his basement? I'd see him having a sick little bar, like a mini nightclub.
A dance room.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a dance room. Yeah. He's salsa dancing and yeah.
Like the 100%. Boy, oh, you guys want to go out tonight? Just come here. We're going to be good. Okay.
Puerto Ricans.
No,
they're obviously Americans.
Ooh, okay.
I'm claiming Francisco Lindor. He needs to play for Team USA.
Yeah, I don't know if our Puerto Rican listeners will love that.
He has played twice for Team USA, 18U and 16U.
Lou, I just mentioned the warehouse. Lou is Puerto Rican. I think he, as a Mets fan, would also like to claim Lindor, and I think a lot of our Puerto Rican listeners would tell us, hey, you can have Nick Ahmed.
That's true. I like Nick Ahmed. Manny Machado, come play for us too. Come on. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, guys?
Me and Eddie Julian on the French team. Shit.
That French team would be ass. Trev, good.
Who else would it be? There's more French guys too. Don't worry about it.
They're recruiting you.
We'll put together the French team. Trev, I would love if you get sucked into the WBC somehow.
I want to do the Olympics.
Can you be French?
Oh, play?
I don't know.
No,
Player,
I'm gonna.
coach?
LA has the Olympics in 2028.
Okay.
I'm going to do something with Team USA. I'm already planting seeds. I really want to do that.
I have you as a Team France guy.
Well, Team USA doesn't work out.
Yeah, they're like, why? They're like, you're not good enough to help.
Team USA is like, you can be our assistant hitting coach. Team France is like, you can play third, hit second.
I don't want to coach. I don't want I want to be an ambassador, Jake. I just want to go to the parties and represent the USA well. That's what I do. That's what my life has become. I go to parties. I represent whatever I'm representing well.
This is a slight bonk, but I always did want to be a part of the Olympic Village because I think it's just the best athletes in the world.
You'd be. Let me tell you this right now.
Now we're talking. This is real.
I think you'd be a catch there because everyone's like, God, they all look the same, and then boom, you stick out.
No, my favorite game to do every Olympics, which this is pretty pathetic, but they always have an Olympic. You put in your height and weight, and it gives you your athletic comparison comps.
Okay.
And usually it's I get a bobsledder, I get a rugby player. So, we exist. We're out there.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about one of the guys in a little bit. He's on your level.
You sure are. Trev, You, me, Biebs, these two guys. It's the shortstop position. There's something special about that on a baseball player. There was a ton of pitchers that should. Max Fried probably should have got more love from us. Complete game shutout. That's not bad.
93 pitches.
Favorites.
Logan Webb heading towards a Cy Young. Couple guys getting mentioned in standout. Like Pavin Smith, not 6 RBI day. You're not my standout performer. I'm going with Elly De La Cruz. My Reds, Elly. Last year, I ended up being like the anti-Elly guy because people want him in the All-Star game because he played like 5 fun games. And I was like, hey, like Matt McClain exists. A lot of other things exist. He put up a 3 for 5 with 3 stolen bases. He had 5 stolen bases in the series against the Phillies. I did get a good laugh. He had 1 stolen base against Real Muto, 1 stolen base against Real Muto. Garrett Stubbs got the start, 3 stolen bases. So he's got that part of his game. And Trev, the offensive numbers. He is 1.051. He is getting on base. He's walking a 416 on base, a 306 batting average, 7 homers, 15 steals. We did so much daydreaming about what this can be. And I guess here's what I want to drive my point home with. Well, 1, he's 22 years old. Jesus Christ. 2, you mentioned Frankie Lindor with 43 career WAR, and how good has he been year in, year out? Like Elly De La Cruz, 2.5 career WAR. It's still very new. He's got 1.7 this season that if he keeps going, he could put up a 7 spot pretty easily. I asked for one of the Cruzes in the NL Central to break out. O'Neill finding his ground this year. Elly De La Cruz leading the National League in stolen bases while 1-dotting at shortstop, man. I mean, that is... People were freaking out because he has the ability to be a generational player. He's now full-on showing it, and that's scary for baseball, for the National League Central, for everyone. The phrase got abused. Like, he is him.
Yes. We have some of the best, the best crop of like young dynamic players that we've had in the game for quite some time. I think that's a byproduct of teams wanting, to call up guys earlier, trusting them. The data will help them out with that. We don't like paying the middle class anymore. So it's rookies and, stars and cheap veterans, I guess you could say. So these guys are getting opportunities quicker than they probably would have in years past. But they also look really ready. I mean, even last year, Elly was up and down. We saw spurts of it. We saw, hey, this guy could take a game over at any given moment, but he wasn't consistent with it. This year, it's like, hey, man, I've been to the big leagues. I understand what it is. I know I can play there. I think first year, you always have that in your mind, like, am I good enough? It's very difficult to play at the big league level. I'd say this all the time on this show. It just doesn't stop. Every single day, you're facing, when you're in the minor leagues, you'll face 2 good pitchers in a rotation. 2 pitchers in the rotation could have big league stuff. Like, that are going to be big league pitchers. When you get to the big leagues, you're facing essentially like the ace of the staff of a minor league team every single day, plus the relievers, all the best relievers. It's just a collection of the best players in the world, dude. So it's nonstop. But then you have to get over that. And it takes guys time sometimes to realize, okay, I'm also one of the best players in the world. I do belong here. And I think right now, if you watch him play, he knows he belongs. He knows not only does he belong, but he's Top Gun status. He's the best of the best. And here's the byproduct. The stats are speaking for themselves. 416 OBP is something that I really, really, really like from him. I think that's the biggest indicator to show you that what he's doing is real.
Right? He's on pace to pass his walk total, and not half the games of last year, but the fact he's doing that,
yes.
He's been one of the best players in baseball.
Yes.
Man, Reds, first in steals, mostly because of that guy. Trev, like we talked about, a lot of guys could have stood out Connor Wong, 2-homer day. Andy Pages, am I saying that right?
Pages, yes. I said Pages. That when he first got called up, I was at his debut watching the game. It's Pages.
Hey, Dodgers calling up Andy Pages.
I believe he's Cuban.
He is.
Looking that up right now.
He is. Trev, this is the list you want to be on.
Dirt nasties on Fuego. That means I'm on fire, baby. Like Waco.
I mean, I don't mean to be rude here, but that's one of the all-time worst baseball reference pictures I've ever seen.
Who?
Andy Pages.
Yeah? Okay.
Go ahead and check that out. It's what's going on? The photographer screwed him. I'm sorry.
Oh!
That's a tough one.
Who's in Fuego, Trev?
He doesn't look like that. I've seen him live. All right, for the series, how about this guy, old teammate of mine, Detroit outfielder / DH Mark Canha. Big League Foodie on Instagram. Check him out. He likes to go to all the nice places and eat, and he shows it to you. 6 for 12 in the series, a double, 2 homers, 5 ribbies, a hit by pitch, 1 dot. Oh, yeah. That's so messed up, dude.
That's a brutal pick. You can't have
like
that.
He looks better than that, people. Come on.
2 versions.
Some of our lists, please DM Baseball Reference and let's.
God, they're both. The lighting's bad, and the other one.
The other one's not great, but like it looks like a different guy.
I can't have.
Let's just get that off the screen right now. Cleveland third baseman Jose Ramirez, 5 for 12, double, 2 homers, 5 ribbies, 2 stolen bases in the series against Boston. How about Mike Talkman? Yankee great, Mike Talkman.
Yeah.
4 for 7, 2 homers, 4 ribbies, 5 walks in the series for a two-dotter in the 3-game series against Houston. He recorded his first multi-homer game since 8/5/19, which is August 5th, 2019, when he was a member of the Yankees.
Yeah. Put together 2 huge months for the Yankees.
Love that for him. The pinstripes are heavy.
Yeah.
For the week, my guy, Trevor Larnett, coming up from the St. Paul Saints and doing it. 8 for 18, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 ribbies for the 1.3 OPS. He looks a lot more comfortable at the plate. Love that for him because he's a stud. He got kind of put in the back of the depth chart, but with some injuries and some poor performances, he's back doing it. How about Zach Wheeler? Like, we just don't talk about this guy enough, man. 2 games started, 2-0, 13 in a third innings pitch, only 2 fucking hits.
Cool. Hard F.
It's a hard F. Sorry about that.
Hard F.
No earned runs, 16 Ks. Like, what? He's only the second Phillies pitcher since 1900 to have consecutive starts of 6+ innings with 1 or fewer hits allowed. What are we doing here? This guy's an absolute stud. Griffin Jacks, my guy. It's a Twins. Yes. Griffin Jacks, shout him out.
Yeah, who'd they play?
Salute him.
Keep going. Yeah. Thank you for your
Yep.
service.
Salute
Griffin.
him, please. 3 games, 3 saves, 3 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no one runs, 6 Ks in those 3 2/3 innings pitched. He's good, man. The Twins have a great back end of the bullpen. They really, really do. Durant's coming back as well. That'll be nice. Sal Perez in the 2 weeks is the one you want to be on, peeps. 15 for 40, 3 doubles, 5 homers, 15 ribbies, 6 walks for the 1.2. Sal, Father Time can't penetrate the catcher's gear.
No.
Unbelievable. How about Logan Webb? Don't talk enough about this guy either.
Yeah.
3 games started, 3-0, 22 innings pitched, only 14 hits. He struck out 13 and only walked 3 for the .41 ERA in that span. Webb has completed at least 7 innings in each of his last 4 starts and leads the league in innings pitched with 38 2/3. Guys, he's a dying breed. The workhorse is dying. Logan Webb says, I'm not dead. Watch me pitch. How about another guy who's not dead? Facts. He's not dead. Tarek Skubal. How do I always mess up.
Tarek like Derek.
Like Derek. That's locked in.
It's not Tariq.
Because he's going to win the Cy
Young.
Young.
Tarek.
So let's lock that in. Tarek like Derek.
Skubal. Don't say it's Skubal. It's Skubal. Tarek Skubal. Lock it in. 3 games started, 2-0, 17 1/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 20 Ks to 3 walks for the 1.04, .75 whip in those games. He is an absolute animal. One of the most uncomfortable at bats, I think, in the big leagues right now. That big old body coming at you. And that's who's in Fuego, my friends.
Trevor, fantastic in Fuego section.
As always.
God, Salvi, Logan Webb, and Tarek Skubal, all kind of underrated. But that's my go-to line for everything. I hate this segment, IL, and it's the longest one of the year. Placed on the IL. I'm going to pick out some of the big boys for you. Pete Fairbanks sucks. Austin Hayes flying all around for Baltimore. They'll just call up a top prospect and they'll go off. Wade's just being Miley. Frankie Montas. Kyle Hendricks. Merrill Kelly with a shoulder. Drew Smiley. Cody Bellinger. Brian Bayo for the Sox. That one stinks. Blake Snell for San Francisco. That one stinks. Lane Thomas. One of the leaders on those pesky Nats. It's a J.P. Crawford pod. He goes on the IL. That doesn't bode well for our Mariners offense. And Zach Geloff. Go Doors. He also hits the IL. But returning from the IL. Max Kepler, your guy got.
Hottest guy of the game. I'm sorry. People.
The
debate is over.
I would counterpunch with Tyler O'Neill. You see those two
Nope.
at the club. Yeah.
Max
Yes,
Kepler
sir.
is universally the best looking guy in the big leagues. I'm sorry.
World Series hero Josh Spores on the IL. Or returns, excuse me, along with Keibert Ruiz for those Nats. So not as many as I'd like to see coming back, if I'm being completely honest.
Ooh, Stone Garrett returned. That was a gnarly one last year.
Yeah. Ripped. Stone Garrett at the club. My God.
Whew.
Trev, let's kick off the weekend, man.
Awards!
Awards are brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Basketball's 82-game preseason, DraftKings words, not mine, are done, and we are in the thick of it. NBA playoff action at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Some good series going on. Hey, Joel, easy on the legs, okay? But what you can do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code Talkin. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code Talkin, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Trev, what's your award?
My award is called Opportunity. And to start off the award, I want to see if you can spell it. Don't look down. Look at me right now.
OPPURTUNITY. Opportunity. Shit.
Dude, I pride myself on being a good speller. Opportunity gets me every time.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. OPPOR.
Okay.
You went UR.
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Go fuck yourself.
Starting off a little spelling here. The Opportunity Award. I've been watching this show called Masters of the Air.
Oh, okay.
It's on Apple TV. I've been looking for a show to watch. I like World War II stuff. That just means I'm getting older, I guess. I've always liked it, though. I've always liked it. I'm a big history guy.
I've never had it, and I had my first itch the other day.
Oh, you're getting old. You're getting old.
Because, dude, I've always
Back
loved
in the day.
I've always loved strategy, and I normally bring it to sports. That I heard some military bullshit the other day, and I was like,
I have a great book for you. If you want
I'm not
military
gonna read it.
strategy that still hit
not
it,
gonna
I got
read
one. I'm gonna
that.
send it to you. Okay. It's called Warlords, people. If you want to go check it out, it's awesome. In the show, they're going on these bombing missions. It's, we're talking about U.S. Pilots now, and they have these big bombing planes, and they go on bombing missions, and the U.S. does it during the day because they want precision bombing. But that opens them up to, really catastrophic losses because the Germans are like, hey, we can see you. The English, freaking English, they were bombing at night because, less casualties. They didn't care what they hit as long as it was German. That's in the show. Anyways, one of the guys who is the map guy, what do you call that? Cartologist.
Yeah,
The navigator.
sure.
I think a navigator is a better word for it in this instance. He gets sick. So all of a sudden, this guy Crosby, you got to go on the mission. He's a little scared. He's never been on a mission before. Doesn't know if he can do it. And he's lead. So he's leading the entire squadron. But sometimes opportunity arises. And I'm not going to spoil it and say, well, does this guy Crosby do well or bad? I'm going to let you guys watch the show. But opportunities arise when you least expect it. My guy who I'm going to highlight in this award, it's kind of a sad award in a way because we have had a lot of injuries, but it's Wilyer Abreu of the Red Sox. Red Sox have been crushed with injuries. Trevor Story's out for the year. Vaughn Grissom hasn't even been back. He's working his way back from a groin. Giolito out for the year. Garrett Whitlock and Pivetta are out. Tristan Casas is out now with like fractured ribs. Brian Bayo is out. I mean, they've had a glutton of injuries.
Yes.
But with injury comes opportunity. So Tyler O'Neill, when he went out, he's back now. Tyler O'Neill went out. Wilyer Abreu started to get an opportunity. He's done it at the minor league level, but he came over in 2022 to the Red Sox in the Christian Vasquez trade. Shout out to Christian Vasquez, won a World Series that year. Nice trade for him. But they bring over Wilyer from the Astros. And this year, with this opportunity, all this guy's done is absolutely raped and earns now like a spot in the outfield. Because Story's out, Cedon goes from center field to shortstop. He's been playing shortstop. He's going to be their primary shortstop for the time being. So now you got Tyler O'Neill, Jarren Duran, and Wilyer Abreu in right field. The numbers are awesome, bro. He's hitting 306, 389, 516 for a 905 OPS. I've seen him make incredible game-saving catches out there. 3 or 4 different times he's like going out and getting it, putting up really, really good at bats. And again, if it wasn't for a few injuries, he wouldn't have had this opportunity. This guy's 5'10", 215. So compact doesn't even begin to start. He looks like a little bit of not an Orlando Arcia, Oswaldo Arcia, the guy that I played with. I don't know if people remember him. Not as good defensively as Wilyer, not as good of a hitter, but that guy could mash some baseballs with his short, stocky stature. Wilyer's the same way, but he's going and getting it, man. And I love what the Red Sox have been able to do. They're still holding on with all these injuries, and a lot gets said about Crawford and Houck and these starters and what they've been able to do and how good the pitching staff has been, but without Wilyer Abreu, they're not where they're at either. So I wanted to shout him out. I don't think a lot of people have him on their baseball radar yet, but he's really, really fun to watch. And the numbers speak for themselves. Already 1.3 WAR on the year. Go check this guy out if you haven't seen him. Opportunity. OPPORTUNITY.
Well done, Trev. Well done. And yeah, Red Sox fans, I guess let us know. I know we're normally not your go-to. I've got a ton of Red Sox friends from growing up in Connecticut. Are we having fun with this team? Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of young talent on the field. You're right, the injuries are insane. My buddies have been talking about that. If you did a blind resume right now, and maybe this will be a game I play, if you just look at the team stats, the Boston Red Sox are second in home runs. They're 11th in OPS, 12th in runs scored. I like those stats. First in starting pitcher ERA still. Second in whip. And the bullpen, 11th in ERA. I don't know, if I showed you this blind resume, you would say, hey, this is a playoff team. Like, this is a really good formula. And, hey, might be a fun one to flip over to this weekend. Cubbies and Sox in Fenway, kid. I'll tune into that.
Yes.
That's some good content. Trev, great award. I think I'll be high and tight with mine because he's a guy that got shout out during this episode. And it's the Jakey Butterknife Award. It's one of my, if I see a good stat that can be chopped up and delivered in a certain way, it started on Talkin' Yanks and I've brought it here. It's going to Jose Ramirez, who you had him, he's in Fuego. He's J-Ram. He's at the center of these Guardians having an incredible April that's almost going to guarantee them a postseason bid. I know that's dramatic, but it kind of does. He hit a grand slam in the final game. It was his 4th homer in 10-plus pitch plate appearance. So he's taken it at bat to 10-plus pitches, and he's homered in that at bat 4 times. Here's the butter knife stat that I'm not sure if this was Dalt who got this for us, or I think Noah was helping out on stats. 3 players have had 4 homers in plate appearances of at least 10 pitches since '88. Todd Helton, Hall of Fame.
Yum.
Paul Konerko, Hall of Really Good. Paul Goldschmidt, Hall of Fame. And Jose Ramirez. So, I don't know. There's a lot of stats you can chop up in baseball to find out who's a good ball player. That's a funny little list, but those are 4 guys that could hit the shit out of the ball. Jose Ramirez is one of those guys. And I was watching highlights of him this morning, just taking extra bases on the Sox. One of the best base runners in baseball, one of the best players in baseball.
He really is. And we say this all the time. Like, is he underrated? He's not, because he continues to rack up accolades. But I think in the general zeitgeist of baseball, like he is. He gets forgotten about, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, he's had some incredible moments. He sought Tim Anderson and dropped him. Like, people talk more about Rougned Odor for what he did against Joey Bautista, but they don't ever talk about J-Ram in that instance. And I think it's because he played it down so much afterwards. I don't know. There's just something about this guy that you want to root for him, even if he's going up against your team. Like, he kind of just plays the game the right way. He's going to take the extra base right in your face. He's going to have those long at-bats and grind at-bats out. He'll bunt if he needs to. He'll go the other way if he needs to. Then he'll drop a long ball on you. Like, he just kind of does it all. And another short king. We love short kings on this show.
I have good news and bad news to finish the episode. Back to being mad at Cleveland's front office / mostly the ownership group, because, Trev, they are deprived from seeing Jose Ramirez and Frankie Lindor on the left side of an infield for the better part of, 15 years? 46.3 career WAR from Jose.
Love that.
That's nuts, man.
Cleveland's never going to pay $341 million for anybody. What's Ramirez's contract right now?
It was like half of that. He did like 7 for 141 or something.
7 for 141.
And I think he had a quote. I heard Lauren Shahadi say it, that he was like, "Why do I need more?" Which, okay, you have the biggest dick in the world, Jose. We'll take some more money too, by the way. We're open to that. My final closing thing before we hit the music was watching some Mariners highlights. Andres Munoz out of the pen, nicknamed Senor Smoke, which I think was a nickname for you during parts of high school. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a fantastic baseball weekend. All JM next week?
Wednesday, right?
Oh, God.
Connor Wong.
Yeah.
Red Sox won the trade.
Come on.
No.
J-Ram dropped
He's doing
him.
really well.
J-Ram UFC dropped him.
Dropped them. And just kind of was like, hey, I'm done. I dropped you. I'm done.
I did my thing.
Dropped.
Listed 5'9", 190.
5'8", 210.
Under over.
Andrew Whitworth or him?